Thanks. Morning, everyone. As mentioned there, I'm Nicole Still. I'm the still relatively new project manager for Riverwoods. So as highlighted this morning, I will not spend very much time highlighting the incredible threats that our rivers across Scotland are under and the very important role that riparian spaces and our wider river woodlands can play in both resolving those issues, providing clean, cold water for our wild fish, and a whole host of wider benefits across our communities and our ecosystems. And it's this recognition of the need and role of riparian planting and riparian zones that has brought many of us in this room to work in the riparian space. So there are projects, individuals, communities working in riparian efforts across Scotland, and some of whom have been doing it for decades. But these are catchment scale issues and national scale issues. And so in order to help facilitate the necessary collaboration and exchange across these different activities and projects, the Riverwoods Initiative was born in 2019. And this is a broad partnership of about 30 organizations, give or take at the minute. We're hoping that number will grow. Working towards a shared vision of realizing a network of healthy and resilient river systems across Scotland. It takes quite a novel, what we think is a novel approach in this country, governance approach with devolved governance across 4 work streams, spanning delivery, finance, advocacy, and science, who all carry out their own projects and work. But spanning those 4 groups and sitting at the very heart of the initiative to provide the necessary support to administer and grow that initiative is the Riverwoods Blueprint Project. So the Riverwoods Blueprint Project is a 5-year national lottery-funded project that is just kicking off. I know it says 2024 on the slide. We are literally in the first few months of our delivery phase, which will run until 2028. This is a partnership project led by the Scottish Wildlife Trust in close collaboration with Fisheries Management Scotland, Woodland Trust, Bug Life, and 3 demonstration area partners who you'll hear from momentarily. And these partners over the next 4 years are working across 8 different work streams. As I've already mentioned, they sit at the heart of the Riverwoods Initiative to help provide the necessary support to both grow and facilitate that partnership, as well as providing national advocacy and communications around Riverwoods necessity to underpin 4 output-driven work streams. You'll hear a bit more about each of those as we go on through this presentation. But over the next 4 years, those work streams, alongside various other engagement activities and co-design processes, will feed into our 8th work stream, which is the development of a Riverwoods Blueprint, which will serve as hopefully a roadmap for how we practically, feasibly, and realistically, in a sustainable way, deliver and realize landscape scale forest, river forest, and woodland restoration across Scotland. I'm going to take just a moment to highlight 2 of those before I hand over to Chloe and Clementine to talk about some of our other work streams. As Alan really did a great job of highlighting earlier this morning, when we think about realizing catchment scale change, it's really important that we have our community along for the ride. But we know that different members of different communities will all come to the riparian space in different positions. Some people are at these very early stages where they're still learning about the importance of riparian woodland and river woodlands, which I appreciate in this room is hard to believe, but I promise those people are still out there. All the way down to getting people to spend more time in their riparian spaces and actually taking active action and leading their own restoration and recovery projects. And so to ensure that we're meeting people across catchments at all of these different stages where they are, the suite of engagement activities we'll be carrying out over the next 4 years span from national activities to those directed at artistic and other communities that aren't traditionally involved in the delivery space, to those that are hyper-local, fostering deeper connections with people's catchments, to eliciting and fostering active action on the ground and facilitating leadership in taking further actions forward. We also want to ensure that when people are ready to take action, that they have the necessary support to do that. The previous presentation was a great tee-up, and you've heard through multiple presentations today the importance of early stage support and for development of river woodland projects. And so we hope this will be just a drop in the bucket, but we hope to start that process through our development grant. So you're getting a little bit of an insider peek here because this will officially launch on the 1st of April. But this is essentially a £200,000 grant scheme to kickstart 10 to 20 new river woodland expansion and creation projects across Scotland. The need for this was born out of the development phase of the project, which looked really closely to the needs and barriers that practitioners were facing, and identifies this need very much at the earliest stages of project development to get the right expertise and capacity for proper scoping, consultation, and survey work to get an application and a project to the point of being fundable. And so this grant will specifically provide and fund the development of river woodland development plans to the point of funding eligibility. I know it says on there it's limited to ENGOs, charitable organizations, etc., but I will just highlight, come talk to me afterward. I think just about every member in this room should be eligible to apply. We do hope that this will grow and expand after this first initial trial launching this spring. But the hope is then that when these projects are at the point of actually coming to delivery and putting trees in the ground, they'll be able to learn from the work that's happening in our demonstration areas, which over the next 4 years will realize at minimum 120 hectares, we suspect that number will be much higher, of riparian restoration across 3 key demonstration areas in the Tweed, Spey, and Kyle Sutherland catchments. And with that, I'll hand over to Clementine to talk a little bit more about the work that's happening in those areas.
Thank you. I'm Clementine Leemans. I'm the Kyle Sutherland Riverwoods Officer up in Kyle Sutherland. So the reason why we first kind of joined the global Riverwoods movement was due to the results from the Scottish River Temperature Monitoring Network that showed that our catchment, as you can see there, was particularly at high risk of high river temperatures, which are not good for salmonids. We also have a very high kind of economical and historical importance of salmon in the catchment. So because of that, some colleagues started working on some riparian projects, kind of on top of as a main job. So there you can see kind of some bailiffs doing some tree planting, and colleagues also worked with FLS to do some planting there. So that was 5 years ago, and FLS is the biggest landowner in our catchment, so now they're kind of integrating the riparian planting in their management plan, so that's been a really good thing. Then we that was our start within the Riverwoods movement, and then we fundraised and funded a full-time Riverwoods officer role for a few years, and we started kind of growing the project. So here you can see, that's one area where we've worked in the catchment where they had planted some native broadleafs, which is great, but they kind of had stopped away from the river. So we kind of went back in and filled. As you can see, it's mostly fenced, but we planted some more within the fence and also outside, just next to the river. So that's what it looked like last summer. We work on kind of finding the right solutions for the right space. So in some case, we fund some day control. In some case, on the other side of the river, we've paid for fence repairs to stop kind of access to that corridor. So it's really finding kind of the right solution for the right space. Hopefully what we learn as we go will then go kind of and become part of the Riverwoods Blueprint. So we've planted 7 kilometers of river so far. We've got much more in the work, and we will deliver at least 23 hectares, but hopefully a lot more through the Riverwoods Blueprint. And I also want to mention a bit about our community outreach. So we just established what we call the tree hatchery, because the building you can see there behind is our hatchery that's not currently in use, but so we had a bit of land that we've been using to grow trees. And as you can see, we've had kind of good involvement from volunteers. Hopefully we'll have school children. We've already been in local schools, and it'll also mean we can have more local seeds and have some volunteer tree planting day and reduce kind of soil transport across Scotland. Yeah, and it means hopefully to connect the community more to the rivers, because in our catchment the communities are very near the sea, but hopefully we can kind of connect with the rivers further up. And with that, I'll pass on to Chloe to explain the role FMS has in this.
Okay, thanks Clementine for giving us a bit of a look at the demonstration areas. So going back to Nicole's slide from earlier, I'm going to talk about two of the work streams that FMS is co-leading on. So we are leading on the Digital Centre of Excellence through the Scottish Fisheries Coordination Centre, and we are also leading on the advocacy work stream. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. So the Digital Centre, it's an online hub. It's designed to give practitioners the tools and the resources that they need to be able to make strategic and informed decisions, and also to streamline every stage of the riparian woodland restoration process. And when we were designing this hub last year during the development phase of the Blueprint project, we established a design group of Riverwoods partners, but we also did fairly extensive consultation with land managers and practitioners and advisors. And there were some key things that we learned from that. We learned that there is no single platform for accessing available grants currently. There are difficulties in knowledge sharing across practitioners in different areas. There's no easy way to explore restoration impact scenarios before implementing projects. And finally, there's a definitive need to upskill and train in restoration techniques. The consultation also revealed something even more important, and that is that all of these challenges exist across all stages of the process, from design, funding, delivery, and monitoring. So we designed a digital center with 10 core functions in order to address those challenges. And I'm not going to talk about all 10 functions today. They're up on the slide here, but I do want to highlight a few key ones. So our digital center will have modular best practice guidance, and the idea here is that it will allow the user to easily and accessibly reach the information that they need related to the stage of the process that they are currently in. It will also have opportunity mapping, which is a tool to identify optimal planting locations based on various environmental functions. So this is temperature or water quality or other functions. And then the digital center will also feature a one-stop shop for funding information. So this will have tools such as a project cost calculator, and this helps users and practitioners to estimate the cost of their projects, and also funding eligibility tool to match users with available grants. A little bit of a progress update on this work stream. We've begun development of the digital center. We're rolling it out in 2026, so stay tuned for that. The other work stream that FMS is co-leading on is the advocacy work stream. And we've said it already, but what makes Riverwoods so important and river woodland so important is that it's not just a forestry issue or a climate issue or a biodiversity issue. It really is the intersection of all of that. And river woodland is a nature-based solution, and it links the land to the water and the source to the sea, and it covers multiple environmental and land use priorities. But for Riverwoods to succeed and for our project to succeed, we really need the right policy framework in place. So if we can do the following, if we can establish river woodland as a priority habitat and policy, if we can streamline public funding mechanisms and unlock private investment, if we can build capacity for delivery on the ground, and if we can manage herbivore browsing at a level that allows for natural regeneration, then there is a future where Scotland has healthy and connected river woodlands, and those river woodlands thrive. And again, it's been said multiple times today already, but investing in this now is essential for the future if we're going to mitigate climate change and if we want to see boosts in our biodiversity. So how can you get involved with Riverwoods? The Blueprint project is a roadmap, but it still needs to be put into action. And over the next 4 years, we'll be creating opportunities for every single person in this room to engage with Riverwoods in different ways. So if you're a policymaker or you're a practitioner, if you're an investor or funder, or if you're a community member, there are opportunities to engage with us. And we all know that the signals that climate change is sending us. So we do need to act together, and we do need to act now so that we can restore our woodland, we can protect and cool our rivers, and so we can secure a future for our wild fish. And lastly, I just want to extend a huge thank you to our partners and our funders and also all of our volunteers who have made the Blueprint project happen. Thank you.